And welcome to Like Minds, the show with like minds and likable hosts. I'm one of them, Sam Dollinger.
I'm Yoshi Caffey, and I'm not likable.
All right. Well, today we're going to be talking about corporate culture, specifically corporate culture of Facebook, and honing in a little bit on Mark Zuckerberg.
He seems to have his own problems with interacting with people in his corporation, which is strange considering that he's with them every single day, and he's also running a massive social media platform for connecting others, yet he is unable to connect with others.
See, and I see where you're coming from with that, but I think you and I are going to go back and forth and disagree on a couple of things. So I want you to first make your assertions on, overall, do you think Facebook has a good corporate culture? If so, why or why not? What do you think's working? What do you think could be improved? And we'll go from there, and I'm going to...
Now, obviously I can't speak because I don't work at Facebook, but from what I understand, their corporate culture is very, work-oriented. It's not what you say, it's what you accomplish. And I like some of that style, but I think they tend to preach more than they actually give credit for in what they do.
Okay. Well, let's look at it this way. You look at Google, right? Google, to me, the Google does a ton of things, but it's everyone refers to California. They're the big macho Google building with the signs everywhere and the ball pits and the free balloons and ice cream for your great granddaughter on Wednesday, and here's a $20 million savings bond Thursdays. And when I look at that, that's not an office. There's not a lot of work getting done in an office like that, aside from the fact that they have so many people there. And I think it's very inefficient. And I think a lot of what comes out of Google comes from the people who are not in that main building, who are off to the side, who are in other buildings, sitting at desks doing actual work. And maybe there's a lot of stuff that comes out of there. But again, they have so many people there at any given time that it's almost hard not to. When I look at Facebook as contrast, because everyone uses Google as this gold standard. Facebook is an office building. You go and you look at Mark Zuckerberg's office. You go look at Mark Zuckerberg in at work, and he's in a building, and he's in an office building with a desk, and there are water coolers and all the typical things. It's a little bit nicer. There are a couple of amenities that you might not find other places, but specifically, I like to push on the fact that Mark Zuckerberg has the same desk that everyone else has. He's on the ground floor. He's walking the aisles. He's going to the cooler. He's part of the conversation. He's getting his hands dirty, and he's actually doing something rather than playing ping pong with his employees every 30 seconds. And whoever wins the game can decide what the next Google animation slide is going to be.
Right, and I can see where you're coming from, definitely. I'd like to clarify, though, that the Facebook office is less like an office and more like a warehouse with their 20-foot ceilings and incredibly disorganized and cluttered desks. It looks like somebody literally rented a warehouse, threw in a bunch of desks and computers, and said, right, we work here now. And while I can see the
Never worked in
disorganized...
a warehouse that well lit.
Right. But I could never see how someone could walk in here and just be like, this disorganized sort of look is my comfortable work environment. I mean, sure, you can get used to it and whatnot, but I don't think it's necessarily optimal. You could have more space and still get the same amount of work done. And, I just find it a little bit odd that instead of more conventional use of space, they decided to throw everything together, and it just looks like a little bit of a mess. Like, sure, if you work there, you understand where everyone is and where everything is and, who to find, who to talk to. But, say another corporation comes in here or representatives comes in here, and they look at this and they're like, where am I going? Who am I talking to? I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it looks like it could be difficult to navigate. Definitely a disadvantage. Probably ruins some more of that productivity. But looking at it, difficult to navigate, cluttered, a little bit. How does that speak to corporate culture? You think that those are things that Facebook almost because you look at the desks, the individual desks. We have a picture pulled up right now, and the desks seem, on a case-to-case basis, a lot of them are pretty cluttered, and the layout's pretty cluttered. Do you think that you can almost take that as Facebook promoting disorganization or just being part of the culture that it's disorganized so that the employees are disorganized? You think that's it bites into it there?
Oh no, I wouldn't say they're disorganized. Just like it's kind of odd for a corporation to essentially preach, oh well, we're here about what you get done and not about, what you say or do. Yet, the look is, well, we put a lot of work into getting our employees, but the actual amenities are slightly lacking because I can't imagine working here and having to walk around and, finding the restroom or a water cooler or anything where there's so many desks and so many people probably, up and walking all at once. And being around this many people, I couldn't imagine working like this all the time, at least for me, because I don't like sitting at a desk next to two other people while three other people are nearly directly behind me. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I like a little bit of space to stretch out and think.
Mm-hmm. So, I see where you're getting, and I think that that's an important part of it. When we look at, I pulled up a website, it's an insight into the corporate culture of Facebook. It's a 6Q blog.
Okay,
and
same website. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. So we have the same source here. I want to pull up, they reference a part where it says, excuse me a second. Here it is. Facebook, the Facebook culture was developing. Right before that, it says being known as an office for fun. And I think that's what sets them aside from what a lot of the other people are doing is, yeah, it's fun, and everyone stresses, oh, we got to have fun at work. I don't understand that entirely, but being known as an office for fun, to me, is entirely different than just being known as an office or being known for fun. Like, being able to combine those two things is what I think that Facebook is doing well right now. I'm going to try to wrap it up a little bit going here, but I see where you're coming from. It's a little disorganized, a little cluttered, but at the end of the day, it still looks like an office to me, and that's what makes it different from just Google, which looks like, Tumbletown for adults. If you've ever been to Tumbletown.
Right.
Yeah, it's Tumbletown for adults. I respect what Facebook has done in having a fun work culture and not just a fun culture or not just a work culture, which is something that other companies get criticized for. And obviously, it's a social networking site, so there's a lot of people giving input and giving their opinions. A very simple mission statement to make the world more open and connected. And I think that's why it's in such a big warehouse, is because they have this big open space. Everyone's connected. Everyone's in the same big open space. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Just a little bit on this article. They say they like to have a frictionless workspace, and I see what you mean. They like it to be open and whatnot. Quote, literally, Mark Zuckerberg enjoys the workspace to be like a bullpen. So he says, potentially having an intern work alongside the CEO is incredibly daunting yet motivating.
Yeah.
And they're looking at an equality. They want employees to feel like Mark is essentially just another employee working alongside them, and I can respect that most certainly. However, I think you could have the same thing in a more cleanly looking office.
Yeah, you got me there. So, those are some good thoughts. As it has been, I am Sam Dollinger, as always. That's my buddy Yoshi Cafe on the other side. And we bid you adieu. Thanks for joining in today. Take care, everybody.
Have a good one.
We bid you adieu. Take care, everybody.
You really butchered that one, eh?